Hi there, it's Dr. Bernstein, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about comma splices. A comma splice occurs when you join two complete sentences with a comma. They are bad things, and you want to avoid them. If you can't avoid them, you need to learn how to find and fix them. So while you're watching, of course, you need to be taking notes on each slide, and when you are in the proofreading stage of your essays, that's when you should be focusing on finding and fixing your comma splices. If you're trying to do it as you're writing, you can often wind up thwarting your thinking process, and so I think as you're writing, you should concentrate on articulating your ideas. When you're proofreading and editing, that's when you want to look for these technical details. So if you already know that you have a problem with comma splices, what you can do when you're at the proofreading stage is take out your rule for comma splices with the examples and look through your essay one time, just looking for any potential comma splices. It's a little time consuming at first, but over the years, I found that this is the way that people have the most success with getting rid of the problem. So it's going to take a little extra time at first, but eventually you'll stop writing comma splices. It's a process. So we're on to the next slide. Here are some 3 examples of comma splices. Gandhi believed that if you preach something, you have to live by it. That's a complete sentence. The quote, is a complete sentence as well. You have to become the change you want to see in the world. You should, again, I just want to say, write these sentences down so that you have examples in front of you. So some people tend to only have comma splice problems when they're using quotes. So if you know that that's when you tend to create comma splices, you should be on the lookout for whenever you have a quote, making sure that it's not a comma splice. The second example is Gandhi and King were both great nonviolent leaders. That's the complete sentence. The next complete sentence is, even though they were separated by many years and many miles, both men believed in many of the same ideals. That's the second sentence. So you've got a comma splice here because you're joining these 2 complete sentences with a comma. The third example is, the nonviolent protester does not mean to slander his opponent. His purpose is to come to an agreement and understanding. So the first sentence is, the nonviolent protester does not mean to slander his opponent. The second sentence is, his purpose is to come to an agreement and understanding. So how do you correct these? There's 3 main ways of correcting comma splices. The first and most obvious one is to use a period instead of a comma to join the 2 complete sentences. You can definitely do that. However, sometimes what happens is that people start writing comma splices as their sentences are getting more complex, as they're getting longer. And you want to have in your essays a variety of sentence types. You want some short and short and powerful sentences, and you want to have some longer sentences. So you don't just want to stick to short sentences, because that's not really taking you to the higher level with your writing. So what happens is when you start writing those longer sentences, you have to learn how to punctuate them properly. So definitely, feel free. It's better to have the short, proper sentences than comma splice, but the next 2 examples of fixing the comma splices are the little bit more sophisticated ones. You can use an appropriate coordinating conjunction, and that's just a fancy phrase for one of the following words: for, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. The best way to remember these coordinating conjunctions is that you probably already know this. It's called fanboys. For the F for, A for and, N for nor, and so forth. You can use an appropriate coordinating conjunction to join the 2 complete sentences, and there needs to be a comma before the coordinating conjunction. The third way, which I recommend using sparingly because semicolons are great when you use them properly, and you probably should, if you really want to be taking your writing to the A level, maybe have 1 or 2 sentences in your essay, or 3 depending on the length, sentences that use semicolons. You don't want to overuse them, however. So the third strategy is to use a semicolon to join the 2 complete sentences. You can use this strategy when you don't have a connecting word, or when you use a connecting word other than one of the coordinating conjunctions. So let's take a look at how to correct those comma splices we looked at earlier. The first example here is showing you how to correct the comma splice by adding a coordinating conjunction. And I had to add a few extra words as well because this sentence involved a quote. So sometimes you can just add the comma and the coordinating conjunction and the 2 sentences will work out fine, but sometimes you need to add a little more info. So here's how I corrected the first one. Gandhi believed that if you preach something, you have to live by it. And he argued that you have to become the change you want to see in the world. There you have a nice, sophisticated sentence that's clear and that's not a comma splice. The second example is an instance where it would be most appropriate actually to turn that comma splice into 2 separate sentences. Gandhi and King were both great nonviolent leaders, period. Even though they were separated by many years and many miles, both men believed in many of the same ideals. I think in that case, as I said, the best way to fix it is 2 separate sentences. The third sentence gives us a really good opportunity to use a semicolon. The nonviolent protester does not mean to slander his opponent. His purpose is to come to an agreement and understanding. You could also here say, use the semicolon, add the word rather or instead, follow that word by a comma, and then have the rest of the sentence. So I hope that this brief presentation has helped you come to a clear understanding of what these comma splices are. I know it's really frustrating when you get back your paper and your teacher says comma splice, and it takes a little time to learn how to figure out what they really mean and how to find and fix them. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them. Bye for now.